Hi, it's Travis White with a Persuasive Communication Tip of the Week. Where do you make the most mistakes in your persuasive presentations? If you're like me, it's either at the very beginning of the presentation or at the very end of the presentation. At the very beginning, I walk on stage, I'm a little pumped up, I've got some adrenaline going, maybe I'm a little nervous. In fact, it's good to be a bit nervous. Your performance improves if you're a bit nervous. But because I'm nervous, I might fumble, I might drop a few words, I might forget what I meant to say, and then I'm worried about recovering rather than what I'm supposed to be worried about, which is establishing trust in that first part of the presentation. At the end, I'm often trying to make that big dramatic close, a powerful argument, and because I'm trying to touch on the audience's emotions while also concluding my argument, I may forget something. I may drop an entire line of argument, an entire portion of my conclusion. So I often find it's a good thing to memorize the first part and the last part of my presentation. So when I walk on stage, I may well know the first 25 to 50 words that I'm going to say. I just know them by heart. I've practiced them. I've rehearsed them. Then I can concentrate on body language, on emotional contact with the audience, on building trust, and on making that eye contact, which is so important, particularly early in the presentation. At the end of the presentation, then, I know exactly what I can say. I can focus on how I'm going to say it. I know the content by heart. I can focus on what's the best way to present that content and what's the best body language to use there at the end of the presentation. In between, I'm usually kind of in the flow, but I need to keep the audience in the flow as well. So I don't usually memorize, and I usually don't read from a script during the middle part of the presentation, but rather I go with the flow, I develop the argument, I develop the logic, deductive or inductive, what have you, and I have to keep the audience with me. And a very good way to do that if you're using slides is always to use agenda slides, or what's sometimes known as bumper slides. So you set up the agenda at the beginning. We're going to talk about this point, this point, this point. Then during the presentation you say, now we've concluded this point, let's move to that point. Now we've concluded this point, let's move to that point. Give your audience a visual clue and a verbal clue as to where you are in the presentation. That will help them follow your argument. That will help you be more persuasive. So a couple of tips: memorize the beginning and the end, focus on emotion, focus on creating that contact with the audience, that emotional bond with the audience. In between, go with the flow, but always make sure that your audience knows where you are in that flow, and you can use agenda slides, bumper slides to do that. That's the Persuasive Communication Tip of the Week. See you again next week.